Hi, friends. How are you? Merry Christmas. The countdown is on. Are you ready? Do you have your Christmas gifts made up yet? Have you given anybody a gift? And maybe it doesn't have to be a gift that you buy, but the gift of being kind. That would be a great gift to give. Yes. So make sure you're listening to your teacher and to your parents, not just at Christmas time, but every day of the year. I bet you haven't noticed the book I have in my hand. Have you seen the movie, The Polar Express? It's one of our family's favorite movies to watch at Christmas time. I bet it is yours as well. So this is actually a Caldecott medal winner because the illustrator did such a good job with the pictures, it won a prize. So this book is in the library. I have a copy at my house. Do you have a copy at your house? It's a good book to pull out and read at Christmas time. And it's a good movie to watch too. So, The Polar Express. Such a good book. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed and I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound of a friend had told me I'd never hear. The ringing of Santa's sleigh bells. There is no Santa, my friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did hear sounds, though not of ringing bells. From outside came the sound of hissing steam and squeaking metal. I looked through my window and I saw a train standing perfectly still in the front of my house. It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood at the open door of one of the cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest, then looked up at my window. I put on my slippers and robe. I tiptoed down the stairs and out the door. All aboard! The conductor cried out. I ran up to him. Well, he said, are you coming? Where? I asked. Why, to the North Pole, of course, was his answer. This is the Polar Express. I took his outstretched hand and he pulled me aboard. The train was filled with other children, and all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We sang Christmas carols and ate candies with nougat centers as white as snow. We drank hot cocoa as thick and as rich as melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of the town and villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced northward. Soon, there was no more light to be seen. We traveled through cold, dark forests where lean wolves roamed. White-tailed rabbits hid from our train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness. We climbed mountains so high it seemed as if we would scrape the moon. But the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like a car on a roller coaster. The mountains turned into hills, the hills to snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice, the great polar ice cap. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on a frozen sea. There, said the conductor, is the North Pole. The North Pole, it was a huge city standing alone at the top of the world, filled with factories where every Christmas toy was made. At first we saw no elves. They are gathering at the center of the city, the conductor told us. That is where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas. Who receives the first gift of Christmas? We all asked. The conductor answered, he will choose one of you. Now, this is a lot different from the movie, isn't it? Look, shouted one of the children, the elves. Outside, we saw hundreds of elves. As our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole, we slowed to a crawl. So crowded were the streets that Santa of Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could go no farther, we stopped, and the conductor led us outside. I like this. What do you think? We pressed through the crowd at the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer were excited. They pranced and pantsed, ringing the silver sleigh bells that hung from their harnesses. It was a magical sound like nothing I'd ever heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart, and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us and pointed to me and said, "Let's have this fellow here." He jumped into the sleigh. The conductor handed me up. I sat on Santa's knee, and he asked, "Now what would you like for Christmas?" I knew that I could have any gift I could imagine, but the thing I wanted most for Christmas was not inside Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was one silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled. Then he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from the reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa. He stood holding the bell high above him and called out, "The first gift of Christmas!" A clock struck midnight as the elves roared their approval. Santa handed the bell to me, and I put it in my bathrobe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out the reindeers' names and cracked the whip. His team charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled once above us, then disappeared in the cloud, dark polar sky. Whoops, I didn't show you the picture. I'm sorry. I'm so excited about the book. So there's Santa. As soon as we were back inside the Polar Express, the other children asked to see my bell. I reached into my pocket, but the only thing I felt was a hole. I had lost the silver bell from Santa Claus's sleigh. "Let's hurry outside and look for it," one of the children said, but the train gave a sudden lurch and started moving. We were on our way home. It's so crushing. It broke my heart to lose the bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my doorway and we waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear him. "What?" I yelled out. He cupped his hands around his mouth. "Merry Christmas!" he shouted. The Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sarah and I opened the presents. When it looked as if everything had been unwrapped, Sarah found one last small box behind the tree. It had my name on it. Inside, there was the silver bell. There was a note. "Found this on the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket. Signed, Mr. C." I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I had ever heard. But my mother said, "Oh, that's too bad." "Yes," said my father, "it's broken." When I shaken the bell, my parents had not heard the sound. At the one time, most of my friends could hear the bell, but as the years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me, as it does for all who truly believe. What a wonderful book, The Polar Express. I hope you have a good week, and I hope you enjoy the time leading up to our winter break. Have a great day.